This is Amy Chan from CakeDecoratingSchool.com, and if you like cake decorating, you're in the right place. In this video, we're going to show you some simple and easy way to ice cupcakes with just your spatula. And we're going to use our offset spatula, right? You can see it has a blunt end. It's the same width all the way down to ice some really simple and easy cupcake styles. There's no need for tips, bags, or couplers, so if you don't have those yet, or you don't know how to use them, or you're just not that great at it yet, this is going to be great practice for using your spatula, and that control will translate over to your cakes, but also give you some great styles for icing cupcakes. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is take a cupcake. I've got some nice buttercream here. It's good, it's soft, it's spreadable, right? Make sure it's a nice consistency before you get started. And as you can see, I'm just taking it and loading it up on the back of that spatula. And I want a nice big kind of heaping tablespoon, tablespoon and a half of icing. It'll probably be more than you think you're gonna need, but we're gonna use it to flat ice this cupcake. So we want some excess just in case we wanna remove some. So you just take it, go ahead, spread all the way out. If you need a little more, just grab some from your little bowl and just go nice and flat. You can see I'm just letting it kind of glide across that surface. I'm not really moving the spatula at an angle too much, just a little bit that way and that way. And just kind of like when you're rolling pie dough or cookie dough, you want to go in multiple directions to help spread it out nice and smooth and evenly and get it out past the edges of your cupcake. So just like when you're icing the top of a cake, you want it to extend a little bit. This gives you a nice little buildup that you can then use your spatula at a just little slight angle and clean off. And this will give you a nice side to those cupcakes as well. And you can see that gives us a nice, flat, beautiful surface on top. You can give it a little extra swipe if it needs it, but it's ready to decorate. Perfect for piping flowers on, putting on a monogram, a date, a cute little message, just piping something simple like a heart, or just adding sprinkles. I like rolling the sides of these in sprinkles, and then there's that perfect little area in the center to add a little detail, and they look lovely. So that's just a basic flat ice cupcake that's ready to do other decorating on, or just leave it plain. The next one we're going to do is what I call the textured swoop. So I'm just going to do the same thing. Just build up a nice roll of frosting on the back of that spatula, nice and big, tablespoon, 2 tablespoons of frosting. More I find is always better with this because you can always take it off and just dollop that down right there. Spread it out a little bit, and you can see I'm going to use the tip of the spatula more. And I'm just going to swirl it into my cupcake. And I got a little too close to the surface, so all I'm gonna do is add a little extra. And you can see this adds a nice little kind of homemade bake sale effect, but it looks really beautiful as well. It has that kind of artistic, perfectly, a little bit messy feel to it, and it just gives it a nice little bit of texture and interest. You can add some sprinkles, pipe a cute little flower if you want to, but that gives us that nice little textured swoop of frosting that's also got some control to it. It's not just messily applied, it's got that little bit of artistic flair. Next, we're going to do concentric circles. So I'm just going to take a little bit of buttercream on just the end of my spatula. And the idea here is I'm just going to rotate my cupcake and put down a thin layer of that, and then just go towards the center again and again, and it's going to give me the look of kind of little concentric circles of frosting. And I like to think of it as just like a pebble dropping in water, sort of. So we're just going to go outside edge, and if you need to, you can always add more. And this one will always be a little thin in the middle to start with, and that's just perfect. And it doesn't need to be a perfect circle on the outside. We're just going to go, again, same thing, build up, pull it just a little bit closer, angle your spatula a little more, turn a little tighter, and then for that very last one, just a little bit right on the end, kind of a nice little pea-sized amount. And we can just turn that until we get a nice little flourish there in the middle. And if you get too close, just add a little more. So I'm just looking for a nice soft curve in the center. So it just looks like that's laid right on there. And that almost gives us a floral kind of rose-like feel. So it's similar to, but different from that kind of textured swoop we did. So it gives you kind of a little bit of a spirally feel to it, almost looks a little flowery, where this looks much more loose and rustic. So that's our concentric circle. Next, we're gonna do our zigzag. So for this one, we're gonna use that spatula and do just a slight back and forth motion, trailing from one side to the other. That's gonna give us a nice kind of little feel of little zigzagging lines. So we wanna get some frosting on there first. So we're gonna do a nice generous amount, just like we did with our flat iced, so that we have something to pull that spatula through. So just get it on there, looking good. Clean up the sides if you need to. And then we're just going to take that spatula and pull it back and forth. And that's going to give us a nice little textured feel. And if you want to, towards the end, sometimes I just need an extra little swoop just to clean it up. But that gives us a nice little back and forth feel that's really soft and beautiful and gives us just a little bit of texture without too much. So especially if people are like, I don't like too much frosting, this is a nice kind of finished, polished way to do them that adds just a little texture and variety to your cupcakes. So for our next style, we're going to do some small swipes, and we're just going to build them up on the end of our spatula, and we're going to do it pulling towards the center of our cupcake. So we're going to do this to give ourselves some basically little kind of petals of frosting, and we're going to make it into a cute little flower. And this one is fun to do in multiple colors. So you can see I have a nice little kind of maybe, I want to say, chickpea sized amount of frosting there. And I'm going to start at the outside edge, and I'm going to imagine that there's just a little point right there in the center, and that's what I'm going to pull to. So I'm just going to take this, smash it against the surface a little bit, and pull towards the center. And I'm just going to keep going all the way around the outside edge. Don't worry if they overlap each other a little bit. You can see that'll give us the look of a cute little flower really quickly. So even without any tips or bags, you can create the look of beautiful little flowers on your cupcakes. You could even do this on a cake. So just keep going until you meet back up with your first petal. So I'm just using nice soft pressure with the spatula, pulling it towards the center. I find sometimes it's a little helpful to hold it at an angle. So instead of holding that blade flat, I'm just going to tilt it a little bit to one side or the other, and that just kind of helps those petals lay on top of each other. And I'll probably need one more. And you can control how big they are by how much frosting you use on your spatula, if you load it up across the entire width or just along one side. But you can see that gives us a nice kind of spiral feel all the way around the outside. And I'm just going to use a tiny bit in the center and do just a little bit of a swirl with the tip of my spatula. So I'm going to take that little ball, go right there, and then angle it down and swirl around, and you can see we have a lovely little kind of abstract, organic looking flower that's just really sweet, and it'd be fun to do these in white and yellow or a bunch of pastel colors. So the final one we're going to do is just a slight variation on what we did before with the flower swipe petals, and we're just going to do them in one direction and kind of pulling towards a central point. So this one gives me kind of a fish scale, a little bit of a kind of animal feel to it, maybe a little reptile. This would be a good one to do in greens if you're doing something like, say, maybe a dinosaur party and you just want to give the cupcakes a little bit of a nod to the theme, but you're not necessarily looking to do a ton of decorating. So just little kind of chickpea-sized amount of frosting. And we're going to go across one side with 3 of them. And then we're going to keep pulling in the same direction. So instead of going all the way around the outside edge, I'm going to go in the same direction until I get to the far edge of my cupcake, and I'm just going to kind of layer them on top of each other. And this will just give me a nice little effect that'll look a little bit like fish scales, mermaid scales, dinosaurs, whatever you want it to be. And I just like going in between 2, so they kind of end up being nested. I can probably finish this off with 1 or 2 little short ones. So if I get down towards the end and I need to, I'll just use a little less frosting so I can make shorter little swipes. And that looks really sweet. So you can see you have a nice little textured feel. It has some height and some style to it. And it gives us a nice little feel like scales, whether they be fishies, mermaids, or lizards, or dinosaurs. And there we have 6 simple styles, 6 ways to ice cupcakes using just your offset spatula. If you enjoyed this video and you'd like more about the cake decorating materials and equipment we use, or just some inspirational videos about cake decorating itself, you can follow us on Insta or YouTube at Cake Decorating School. If you'd like to know more about yearly membership and what it entails, you can go to www.cakedecorating.school.com for more information. And if you're interested in these products, you can check the links in the description.